All right. Thank you all for coming back. So 2 weeks ago, we talked a little bit about relationships, and I have been watching some of it when I was doing the editing, and I don't feel like I completely answered Sarah's question regarding how do you separate the friendship and the relationship and keep the romance. And so last week kind of brought up spontaneity, keeping things exciting in life. So just want to kind of share some stories from myself, and maybe Sarah, you can tell us a little bit, maybe one of your spontaneous moments. So some things that we try not to plan everything. We tend to like just not make everything in a schedule. So it doesn't have to be crazy. So one day we went to something scheduled. We wanted to go to a meetup. It's kind of like a marketing business meetup within the area. And we got there and it was super crowded. You couldn't find parking. And we were like, do we really want to do this? And we said, you know what, let's just go out for a date night. So, we quickly changed directions and found a little area, common place with a mix of restaurants, and we got a quick bite. And then we decided to go for a walk, and we saw it was across a bridge, a small bridge. It was a brewery. And so we were like, let's go check it out. So we checked out the brewery, and they had a pool hall. And we hadn't played pool in like a year. And we were like, let's just go play pool. And we ended up having a really nice evening. So even though what we scheduled was going to be more of a completely different experience, we said, let's just make the best of the evening, and we had a really nice, fun date night. So spontaneity doesn't have to be like, hey, let's go skydiving today. It can just be something, small, or just a quick change without feeling like you have to stick to a plan.
Absolutely. It's interesting you say that, because naturally a lot of my stories are quite extreme. But then you said that, and I was like, do you know what? Recently, me and my friend were like, what are you doing? The sun was about to set, and we were just like, let's just get in the car, go for a walk. So I live quite close to the Peak District, which is a beautiful part of the country. And we went up the mountain, hill, we'll leave that argument for another time. And it was just, do you know what? There was no one else around. We didn't end up where we were expecting, and we just got to the top and watched the sunset. And it was super windy. But when you're like, that was just a really nice end of the day. Let's jump in the car and go. Let's see where the road takes us. So I agree with you. And I think it's always nice if you're naturally quite work orientated, like you said, like that day you plan to do something linked to work or business or whatnot, and to suddenly change it to be spontaneous and then it be a date night makes it a bit like I'm a teenager again kind of vibe.
Yeah, well, I think like if you think of like some of your best stories, and you seem like a spontaneous person, like to a degree, like, hey, I want to meet up with a friend. We're gonna go to Turkey for the weekend or something. You have all those fun stories. I think
yeah.
When you talk to your friends or family, I think all the best stories are. Do you hear Dad? Do you hear him? I have to show this. Yes.
He's blurry.
It's okay.
He's blurry because of your background.
Oh, because of the background? How do I fix that? I don't even know. Hang on. There we go.
Just say, I wasn't laughing at you.
No,
I was laughing back at you.
Dash.
Yeah.
Dash. Look at me.
It is penguin.
You brought it in with just
yeah. You've got them all. Yeah. That was hilarious. I was trying not to say anything.
I was
Um,
trying to see if it even came up on the. I was like, maybe he's just see his mother's in a session with a client in another room, and I was in here with the door closed, so they're all. Someone love me right now, all the time. I know.
Spontaneity. Where are you going? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I interrupted you
Well, I
massively
was no dashed it. No, I was saying I think when you look back and you tell stories, at least for me, most stories are the spontaneous ones. You know,
there. Yeah,
like when you
the
look
ones that
back and you
stand
say,
out.
"Hey, remember that time when we just randomly," or
Yeah.
or we went and did this, or when you're younger and it's like, "Hey, remember we got so drunk and we ended up on," it's like, that's that's
Yeah.
so I think it's just it also gets you out of your element, and I think the spontaneity, spontaneity, spontaneity. That's it.
You've lost me.
Did you hear him again?
Can we
The
just
spontaneity.
can we just spend the next 10 minutes trying to say the word spontaneity?
Spon-
And I
What's another word for spontaneity?
no, we're gonna go with it.
Spontaneity. What's-
Because it feels, I'm not laughing at you. It's such a tricky word.
You can laugh at me.
Like
It's okay.
it's like you're stuck on repeat
I
trying
know.
to
Spontaneity.
respond.
When I used to, I'll cut this part out. But when I used to work in the veterinary
Please
field,
don't.
I used to work in the
Oh
veterinary
my God.
field, and I had to learn all the drugs and medications when I was charging. And of course, like the doctors would write down like sometimes they would use like the chemical word, or they would use like the brand name word, and so
Right. Yeah.
and a lot of it's Latin, and so like I would say it out loud to myself to try and while I'm typing it in, and my coworker started laughing. I was because he caught on to what I was doing, and it would be like buprenorphine, and I'd just start doing it like in a weird accent.
But it is, do you know, and I know we're about to go, I mean, this is a spontaneous shift, I guess, in
Yeah.
terms of direction, but
Oh, you said that word so spontaneous.
I
But I
did
feel
think
like
about it.
well, spontaneous is easier. Spontaneity. See, I still can't do it.
Do you know, but I think like language is fascinating, isn't it? And like when you see a word, especially in the English language, when you're taught phonetically pretty much to break a word down, and then you go into a different language, it just doesn't work. And you're like, I'm not laughing at your accent, I'm not laughing whether you can say the word or not. It's just one of those like, how can one word come out so differently depending on who's talking?
Aluminum.
Luminary.
Aluminum. Well, it's like in
Yeah.
Australia. I think like Cairns, for example, is it's pronounced Cairns, but CAIRNS. It's like not spelled any way that you would actually think.
Oh my goodness. Do you know what you need to do is get a list of places and we play the game to see
Where
how
is this?
we both pronounce it. I think that would be brilliant.
Maths.
Maths. You say math, don't you?
Yeah, as if it's singular.
It's not, is it?
No, mathematics. So we just make it mathematic.
Mathematic.
Yes.
We are mathematic. Yeah, I mean, language is fascinating. That's a different conversation in its own right, isn't it? Another one. So much going on.
I feel like you probably have a lot more, just because of your travels, probably have a lot more diversity of words that you've come up across. No?
Probably, but you put me on the spot and it's like my canvas of words is blank. So don't don't test me on anything. I like keeping things simple. So simple words, simple explanations, you've got me on your side. Throw out, similar to what you're saying, you're starting to give me the medical words.
I have no idea. Yeah. Well, it's
No
like,
idea.
speaking of language, see, this is how spontaneous this conversation is. So we went to uh Indian festival, a couple like 2 weeks
Native
ago.
Indian.
Huh?
A native Indian, American Indian.
No, like India Indians, because Columbus thought, or he landed in India, but he didn't. So he called them Indians when they're really just Native Americans, because he didn't realize where he landed. And then it just kind of stuck and caused confusion.
So this has blown my mind, and I feel really naive in this
That's
whole
okay.
topic.
That's
Oh
all
my
right.
goodness. So what would be the correct, I mean, I'm not saying you should put labels on anyone, but what would be
Or
the
like,
correct
yeah, yeah. I mean, like if you're speaking to a Native American, I imagine that they would say Native American.
native?
I mean, Aboriginals was just the word used in Australia for the original people of the land. You know,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
like Native Americans are. I mean, but I don't. I think
Native to the
my understanding is that the word Indian came from because he thought he landed in India, and so
wow.
these must be Indians, but it was just kind of stuck.
Very wrong about it. Wow. Well, thank you for teaching me, or thank you for teaching me that, because I think it's important to also be politically correct and inclusive. So thank you. So you're
I guess,
Indian.
I guess you don't have that issue in England. It's just royals.
Yeah. Do you know there are I would love to be corrected if I am wrong, but as far as I'm aware, we don't get me wrong, there's like international issues of who gets labeled as what, so that's where we've got to be careful, but
Just white
not
people.
in terms of
It's just
native,
white people.
not in terms of
Just white
just
people.
yeah. But it isn't, it definitely isn't. But and I know it's very multicultural, but we don't, as far as I'm aware, we don't have a population which would be classed as native or aboriginal.
Yeah.
Maybe in Scotland, maybe in Wales, and maybe in Ireland, but in England, I'm not fully aware of if we've got specific communities that are native from.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because I think, like, the term Caucasian,
Yes.
right? What do you think of Caucasian? Like, what comes to mind?
I mean, Caucasians white, right?
Yes, but it actually originated from a tribe, a group of Caucasians from the Caucasian Mountains. And so it's actually an origin of people so like white and Caucasian, technically different, but it's that same like superiority complex where someone saw the group of, I think that's true, because I studied the class was non-Western civilization, history of non-Western civilization, which is really just like just East, but I guess it went a little bit more in depth than that. So there's the languages that we use and the words that we use to describe others. There's always like a weird.
Well, it's all got to stem from
meaning.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, some of the learning that I've done, it's very much like naturally you will label in terms of what you physically see, and then because you're trying to understand the person that's in front. I just think it gets so hectic, doesn't it, depending on how you're using the word and why you're using it and what it means to the person you're describing, I guess. I don't know, but there's got to be some links, like even if it wasn't the white man saying it and you flipped it over to whatever other person, there must be descriptions to describe the white man or woman or person.
Yeah, beige skin, something like that.
It's mad. No, I find it really interesting.
But you kind of blend into
Another
that peach
conversation that I
shirt.
could just,
You kind of blend into that peach shirt you're wearing. Yeah, it's almost,
yeah,
it's almost,
look like a baked bean.
yeah, it's one shade off from being a nude color.
Yeah,
What,
I am not naked.
good, good to know. Good to know.
That just makes it weird. That's funny. That's funny.
What were we talking about?
You're Indian. You went to a party.
Oh yes. So going back to languages. So they had so there was a festival. They had they had food on the street, of different restaurants, and they were selling clothing, and then they had like a DJ dance party from like 7 to 10, and it was awesome because you saw families just all like, I mean, it looked like a rave, but everyone was dancing, and dancing in circles, and we're listening and we're dancing too, but I don't know any of the words because I don't speak Indian. And then like halfway through, he's like, "All right, we're on our fifth language," and I'm like, "Changed? I didn't know it was been." Because there's so many languages,
So
and
many.
and
Yeah.
and you just heard like everyone in the crowd singing all the words, and it was like everyone knew like 5, 6, 7 languages, and I'm like, I know bastardized English, like I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
so they kind
But it is crazy. Like I am so determined to learn Spanish or another language. I'm determined, but it's amazing when it's not put into your life at an early age and then consistent. How like flippant we are, I guess, in terms of not knowing another language, and then you meet individuals who can speak 7 different languages, or probably 8 because you're including English in that, and you just sit there and you're like, wow, like I'm in awe of anyone that can speak more than their native language.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I took German in high school, and I was working with the doctor, um, and we were talking back and forth, and I said, "Oh, I know a little German," and I said like like was ist die hour, like it probably wasn't even perfect grammar of German, and she just started like ripping out like talking to me in complete German, and I was like, I don't. First off, why do you know so much of that? And she goes, well, I took German as a major in college while I was studying vet school. I said, wouldn't Latin, if anything, Latin be like the language to pick if you're going into med school? And so every time I would see her, she start like yelling at me in German. I had no idea what. I was like, I should have never told you that I took 2 years of German because it's just backfiring on me.
Yeah. An epic fail on your behalf.
Yeah.
Your learning at school did
You
not
try to
get
look
you
smart,
anywhere.
and then someone else comes in, and they're like, "I'm like, oh,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. See, I find it hard to retain. Poor excuse, because repetitive patterns are meant to like repeating help. I think I need to just disappear and land myself in the center of a country that refuses to speak English to me so that I actually learn.
Well, I think that's like anything repetitive. I mean, you can. It's like when you're in school and you're studying for a test, and as soon as you finish the test, like you don't remember anything from it. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
because now you're not. That's not what you're moved on to the next thing. Like it's not
Yeah.
part of your daily. I mean, you can down the line pull it out, pull certain things out, but for the most part, you don't really.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think it's just
Yeah.
consistency.
Can we just appreciate how brilliantly random this conversation is?
It's definitely spontaneous. What? No, I don't want to upgrade. I'm running out of time. I have to
Yeah.
freak. Yeah,
But I think please keep the laughter and the random bits in because
I will. I will.
hilarious. Like I actually had a tear rolling down my face at one point when we had spontaneous going on. We had the dog going for it. We had just
Just
languages. We've literally done this. My day's been been described as like a wave, and you've just ended my day on that wave of just like life is freaking crazy. Like it is just the weirdest, funnest place, isn't it?
it is. I think, and but that's what's we need those reminders now and then. Yeah.
As we listen to chants we don't understand, we embrace it because it's energy, isn't it? I'm just thinking of you and being in your event. I can't think of the word I was going to say.
All right, we'll finish it up. Say spontaneous, spontaneity,
Spontaneity.
spontaneity. There we go. Okay. I'll get it.
Does spontaneity have a T where I'm saying? I don't even have a T there.
Does it?
You're saying it without it. Spontaneity. And I'm saying spontaneity.
I feel like the way you say it is the correct way. It sounds better. You have a better of keeping the T sharp, like when you speak. But I think that's like a British like accent as well. Like
Yeah.
way you just pronounce words. Like I feel like, and I have a little bit of a mumble, so mine tend to. But you like when you say say it.
Spontaneity.
See those T's. Spontaneity.
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 Got it.
Your
I know
teeth,
exactly what you mean.
but your teeth are so sharp. It's a good linguist. A lot of actors try to work on that, so when they pronounce, they're hitting every,
Wow.
syllable.
Yeah.
It's a compliment.
Well, I can't change. It's interesting because you come to England, well, like anywhere, and our dialects change really quickly, like our accents. But I don't know if other people really pick up on it. But in England, like where I'm living now in the north, sound completely different to how I sound.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you have the Cockney accent. You have like the more, what is it? I forget what it's called, but the more refined, like the. I played Oliver in Oliver Twist in 6th grade musical play, and I had to come up with a Cockney accent, which I still can't do right. You know. Please, sir, may I have some more?
Did you enjoy it?
I did. I also got a concussion because there was a scene where I had to like run and fall, and then like the third show we did, my head bounced off the ground. I totally forgot my next line. Everyone thought they almost stopped it because everyone heard the bang through. It was like on a gym floor. It wasn't like on a stage. So it was like just. But
yeah.
it hurt.
Wow.
It hurt.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine. Well, Oliver Twist.
You can just call me Oliver.
Just call you Oliver. Can I have some more?